The Bengals fall to 0-2 after a heartbreaking loss here for the Cincinnati Bengals at Arrowhead Stadium. The Bengals lost 26-25, and it all came down to the final play, as it typically does with these two teams. And the matchup between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes lived up to the expectations. It was a shootout all game long, and there were so many highlights to take away from this game for the Bengals. But let's talk a little bit about what happened and how the team let this one slip away. From top to bottom, I thought that the Bengals outplayed the Chiefs from the start of the game to the end. The game came down to a pass interference called on Dejon Anthony, the Bengals rookie safety. The Chiefs were able to then get a walk-off field goal, and you know how this story goes for the Kansas City Chiefs. But that's typically how it goes against the Chiefs. There's no margin for error, and the Bengals had many times where they could have put this game away, but they just weren't able to. And following the game, Joe Burrow said this loss was as frustrating as any in his career. And I think it's because he knows these are the games that you just don't get back. And you think that based off the way the Bengals played today that they'll have a chance to maybe see the Chiefs again in the postseason, but you just don't know. And a win today against the Chiefs here on the road, especially when they were the better team, could have done wonders for this Bengals team. But instead, they fall to 0-2, very much facing a must-win game on Monday Night Football against the Commanders next week. So let's talk a little bit about what changes the Bengals made that allowed them to have as much success as they did on offense. They looked like a completely different team from the offense you saw in the Week 1 loss against the Patriots. It was really good to see Joe Burrow be able to connect on some deep passes, specifically with Jermaine Burton. They got him involved, but really the highlight of the day for me from an offensive standpoint was how Joe Burrow utilized his tight ends. You saw Mike Gesicki lead the team in receiving yards, and the immersion of Eric All, the rookie tight end out of Iowa. He looks like he's going to be a big part of this offense, and he made a couple of key plays for the Bengals. So it was just really nice to see the playbook open up, allowing more weapons besides Jamar Chase to be a factor in today's game. And of course, Andre Yoshivas finding the end zone and really making a mark for himself in this offense. Defensively, it was about as good of a game as they could have played against Mahomes. They really were able to limit the explosives down the field. And of course, when you're facing Mahomes, you know he's going to get his. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame player who will make plays if you give him as much as an inch, and there were just a couple of plays that you just had to tip your cap to him. But Cam Taylor-Britt with an exceptional interception in coverage against Mahomes. That will certainly be a highlight play coming out of this game. And the Bengals suffered attrition. They had a bunch of injuries that took place on the defensive line. B.J. Hill left early on in the game with a hamstring injury, and later on in the game, Sheldon Rankins, another defensive tackle, injured his hamstring as well. But they didn't stop fighting, and Lou Anarumo's group tackled a lot better than they did in Week 1. And from top to bottom, I felt like even though the Bengals lost and they're 0-2 and there's no such thing as a moral victory when you lose in the NFL, I felt a lot better about where this Bengals team can go based off what I saw from the offense and defense today here at Arrowhead. So that's it for some post-game thoughts on today's Week 2 loss, and we will quickly turn the page as the Bengals get ready to host the Commanders on Monday Night Football next week. Thanks for tuning in to Cincinnati.com.